Welcome on in, members of the chapter, as well as Blood Angels enjoyers. I feel as if we are waiting in the calm before the storm, before our Primarch decides to fly from the desert sands of Baal to our very doorstep. But nonetheless, we must remain focused, as we still have one more action figure from the last year that we need to review, which is the squad leader of the Crimson Paladins, which is the Crimson Exemplar. We shall see if this Exemplar is an exemplary example of an action figure. When comparing the miniature to the action figure version of the Crimson Exemplar, it would appear that JoyToy once again did a faithful job of translating the miniature to action figure scale. They even mirrored the Auric decorations to the finest detail, along with capturing the color palette as well. I suppose the only very small thing that was left out was the extreme highlighting on the ribbons, as well as the shading in the tabard area, which absolutely is no big deal. Starting off with the top and the head area, just like with the Crimson Paladins, this Exemplar has a good amount of detail on the top with the shading on the sides of the armor, as well as the gold rivets. The front bears the characteristic golden vines that snake up to the black blood tier. What makes the squad leader unique is that the partially bareheaded version sports tousled blonde hair that has a decent amount of shading. It appears that the eyes are screened on nicely and also has this little glint, I suppose is something that is here to stay with the newer bareheaded action figures. The respirator that partially covers the Marine's face gives a feeling of mysteriousness. However, what makes this area unique is the new way of attaching the head to the body. It's not just a simple ball and socket joint anymore, but this is more complicated in that the head almost sits atop of this pedestal. I will talk about this area in the movement part of the figure review. With the pauldron and arms, there is no difference in the pauldrons with this Exemplar that would set him apart from his regular squad mates, unlike the 40k figures. With the Exemplar here, and the one with the assault cannon, there is the same gold winged blood tier on the right pauldron, as well as the Roman numeral 9. Again, one of the things that I appreciate about this area is that there's greater dimension due to these symbols being raised from the base of the armor. There is absolutely no doubt that this action figure belongs with the Blood Angels due to the gratuitous usage of blood tears on the leather fringe of the armor. Moving on to the chest and torso area, I really like this chest area because this area screams Blood Angels' exquisite art. The golden foliage serves to accentuate the cultivated nature of this faction of Space Marines, while the metallic red blood tier binds the whole aesthetic of this area together. These golden vines bear a resemblance to the Crimson Paladin that has the Ilias's assault cannon, but on closer inspection, there are subtle differences in the designs. I really like how these action figures look relatively the same at first glance, but on closer inspection, each and every single one of these Marines have their own unique characteristics. The toga-like piece of plastic also has a good amount of detail with deep shading in the recesses. And also, this Marine did not skip ab day due to the presence of a well-defined manly six-pack. Moving down to the waist area, like the rest of his brothers, it does not have that much except the belt buckle that is comprised of, surprise, surprise, a gold winged blood tier. The tabard as well as the black ribbons also mimic the designs that his other squad mates have. Now moving on to the lower part of this Marine. If you saw my other review of the regular Crimson Paladins, I really enjoy the level of detail that is found in the thigh and leg region of these units. I'm a big fan of this gold outlining here because it serves to give an otherwise bland area a bunch of character and flavor. The design before this knee area fits the whole entire aesthetic of the action figure and does not deviate from his squad mates. Although there are a couple subtle differences in the lower leg area between the Exemplar and the regular squad members, you will notice that there's no black area on the right knee, and it would appear that the designs on the shin area have been switched from the left shin to the right shin versus the Crimson Paladin with the assault cannon. Perhaps the lack of black and the switching is the only way that you can tell this action figure is a leader. Now moving on to the armaments of destruction. At the top of the Spear of Perdition is a sword-like attachment. In fact, it bears a screaming resemblance to the power sword of the Legion Praetor in Tartarus Terminator armor. The Exemplar blade is a bit thinner and has this slight curl-like design towards the hilt of the blade. The color balance is fantastic, just like the rest of the Crimson Paladins. This black ribbon area is made of a flexible plastic that gives a flowy kind of feel. The handle of the spear can be attached to the bottom of the sword like this, and features a good amount of gunmetal, gold, and black. So with the Coriolis pattern power shield, each and every single one of the Paladins feature this type of shield in which the shape right here and the golden outlining is the exact same on each figure. However, the difference lies at the center of the shield, where the Exemplar shield features a very death mask-esque type of design. The mask is absolutely massive and has a good amount of detail by the way of shading in the eye as well as the mouth. There is a banner towards the bottom of the shield and has the word glory screened on rather than engraved into the plastic. On the back of the shield, it features the same archaic pipe-like designs for the power nodes, and nothing about this area departs from the shields of the other Paladins. Now let's talk about movement. Thankfully, there's no restriction of movement on this action figure. The toga-like area on this action figure spins with the chest area, so you do not have to put your hands on this area so that the toga does not snag while you are rotating it, as demonstrated here. I will point out that the hands are very pliable on this action figure. In fact, it may border on a little bit too pliable, but that is my own personal opinion. The action figure can still grip the spear with no issue. Now back to this head area. While there is no restriction of movement, the head is really hard to move around because of this hood up here, as well as the new head to joint body part. And as I pointed out earlier, the head sits atop this pedestal, and there's a ball and socket joint that joins the head to this pedestal here. You may need to gently use a pair of hobby tweezers to move the head around easier. Now it's time to compare the size of this Exemplar to other action figures. And the first action figure that I'll compare it to is the Legion Praetor in Tartarus Terminator armor, and the Crimson Exemplar is slightly shorter, but not by much, compared to this Legion Praetor here. And now we have the Arc Heirloom on the left-hand side of this Crimson Exemplar, and the Exemplar clearly looks like he's about a head taller than this regular sized action figure. And next to the Crimson Exemplar on the right hand side, we have a version 2 Intercessor, and this version 2 Intercessor is roughly the same height as the Arc Heirloom, which means that this guy is about a full head shorter than this Terminator armored massive figure. Now it is time for the wrap up. So out of the 3 different units of the Horus Heresy Blood Angels line, I would have to say that the Crimson Paladins are definitely the best. Starting off with this Crimson Exemplar. He obviously serves as the sergeant and the glue that binds the squad together. I really think that these Crimson Paladins embody the whole aesthetic as well as the ethos of the Blood Angels, and I would recommend getting the Exemplar as well as the Crimson Paladin with the Iliastus Assault Cannon. And where should you get these action figures? Well, obviously, if you've been sticking around in this channel for long enough, you should get them at JoyToy. Click in the link in the description below, or you will be brought to their website. The reason why I recommend JoyToy so much is that in the couple of years that I have been ordering my action figures from them, I have not had any sort of issue with them. As I have said before in my videos, they have excellent customer service and very quick ship times. And before you check out, do not forget to use the code SNS to receive 12% off of your purchase. And so, members of the chapter, thank you so much again for watching these action figure reviews, and look forward to more action figure reviews in the future. We have 2 major ones that are coming up very soon, which is the release of Lieutenant Titus's squad, as well as the coming of our Primarch, which is Sanguinius. And with that being said, I'll see you all in the next one.